Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be looking at a very classic design Victorinox knife. This is the Victorinox Pioneer, and this is really reminiscent of the old Victorinox Soldier. The Soldier overwent several different changes through the years, but I have found some pictures of a 1980 model that I want to bring in here at the end, and we're going to do a little contrast and compare to show you what some of the old Soldier models look like by comparison to the new Victorinox Pioneers of today. So let's get into the tool set. We'll talk about the specs on this, and then we'll bring in those pictures and we'll show you some of those differences. The overall length on this knife is going to be 93 millimeters. It's a 93 millimeter frame knife. That's going to translate to approximately 3 5/8 of an inch. It's going to be 22 millimeters wide, or about 7/8 of an inch, and it's actually just shy of half of an inch wide at 15/32, and that's roughly 12 millimeters. So the weight on this one also is pretty lightweight. This one weighs in at 2.46 ounces, or about 70 grams. Now, if we get through the tool set of this, a few things that we're going to note here is the key ring. Now, this is one of the differences between when we bring that the pictures of that Soldier in here. Now, I take that back. There have been a couple of Pioneer models, special editions, that have come out without the key ring, but for the most part, the Pioneer is going to have the key ring where the Soldier did not. So if we start going through here, first one we're going to look at is this bottle cap lifter. So this has your large screwdriver, bottle cap lifter, and your wire stripper down here at the bottom. And if we open up the other side, then we have your classic Victorinox can opener with the smaller screwdriver as well. And this also, just the angle that's built on, will actually kind of work as a Phillips driver as well. So if we close that up, then we get to the knife blade on this one. And this is actually, on the 93 millimeter models, I kind of like the length of the knife blades on here. So the blade on here is just short of 2.5 inches. It's 2 and roughly 3/8, maybe just a little bit longer than that. It's a very good backup knife blade, in my opinion. And most of my Victorinox knives, in fact all of them, are going to be relegated to a backup knife capacity. But I do like the blade length on these 93 millimeter Alox models. And then the last tool, and for some it's going to be the most important tool, that is the reamer or awl. And this one is done very well. They bend that awl over there, adds a lot of additional strength. See if I can focus that in right. And the point on these awls are very, very sharp. So it has a nice cut edge here as well. They're just built very sturdy, and I like the awls on the Alox models because they all come out the end of the knife as opposed to the center of a knife. And this one is a very lightweight, very easy to carry model, being just 2 layers. Very classic design that has been around for a very, very long time. Well, let's bring in those pictures of that Soldier, and I want to show you some of those key differences. Well, let's take note of some of the key differences between the Victorinox Pioneer of today and this older version that we have up here in the corner. So first of all, and this is not true of every Pioneer, because there have been some Pioneers that have come without the key ring, but for the most part, the Victorinox Pioneer is going to have the key ring. The next thing that might jump out to you is the rivets are different, obviously, on this newer version than the older version. Now, over time, the rivets did change how they assembled the old Victorinox Soldier. So not every knife is going to be identical. There are nuanced differences between different years and different eras. But one key difference is definitely in the rivets. You'll notice a distinct difference there. The next thing is in the shield. So the old Soldier used to use the coat of arms shield, and this is more the newer Victorinox shield that we have here. Another difference that is a little more subtle that you might not necessarily catch is that the pattern on the Alox is a little bit different, where the pattern on this knife actually extends all the way out to the edge. The old Soldier actually cuts short just a little bit, so there's a bit of a smooth edge around the edges of those Alox in the old Soldier knife. Now, one thing that on this side of the knife that I really wish I had an opportunity to use, and that's in this particular implement. So in the can opener, or the bottle cap lifter, I'm sorry, instead of having the wire stripper down at the bottom, now, again, the Soldier kind of changed over time. In later versions of the Soldier, did have this particular implement or one that's very similar to it. But this 1980 that we're looking at, you notice that the cut edge is actually inside of this area here. It's more reminiscent of what you would find like in the electrician blade, where it has a deeper or a wider cut edge, probably more used for cutting the sheathing off of cable as opposed to doing little wire stripping. It's unfortunate I've never had the opportunity to use one of those old Soldiers. I'd like to get my hands on one because I'd really like to see how that particular cutter functioned, or how well or how poorly, one or the other, that it functioned in those older knives. But I kind of think that I do rather like the older style as compared to the newer style of today. I would love to see them come back with that cut edge there, because I think for stuff that I do, that it might be a pretty valuable little instrument to have on there. Now, if we flip around here, another noted difference is that we have the engraving field on the Pioneer, and on the old Soldier knife, it did not have that either. The next thing, if we open up the knife blade, now on the knife blade, on the tang of the knife blade, you have the Victorinox Swiss-made Officer Suisse, I think, or no, this one says stainless. So you'll usually get, you know, all that writing will be on the tang of the blade, but on the opposite side, for the Soldier, they actually stamped in the year of manufacture, and in the newer Pioneer, they do not, or the Pioneer X or any of the Aloxes that I'm aware of, they no longer put the year stamp in there, which I kind of like, because then you can readily identify what year any particular knife was made. I wish they would kind of go back to that, because I think that would be pretty cool, actually. Apart from that, the rest of the tool set is virtually identical, and you'll notice that, you know, the tools on here are pretty much the same. They're not a whole lot of difference in the tool set of these knives. So while it has changed a little bit over time, this is again, like I said, this is going to be reminiscent of that old officer knife or the Swiss Army knife. The Soldier was just one of those knives that it actually got, this is one that they actually issued to the Swiss Army. And so a lot of people consider it more of the classic Victorinox knife, because Wenger had their style, and then Victorinox had theirs as well. But this really does harken back to the old days of the original Swiss Army knife. This is one of the reasons why, though I don't use the Pioneer very much, I actually prefer the Pioneer X, because it does include the extra scissors. I find that this knife has a lot of nostalgia to it, if you will. Now, one of these days, I'm going to get my hands on one of those early versions of that Victorinox Soldier and try out that little implement to see if I like it better. One of these days. I'd really like to find one in my birth year. I think that would be really, really cool to have. Well, this has been a look at the Victorinox Pioneer and some of the differences between the knife of today and the Soldier of yesteryear. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.